So take a look. We started with just an x, right? And then we ended up with a 3 times an x and then a minus 4. So we multiplied by a 3 here, and we subtracted 4. So we should have 2 things that we've done. And remember, if you've multiplied by a negative somewhere, that's a third thing, right? So if I'm multiplying just the x, remember if I was multiplying the whole thing, it would look like this. All right, I'm multiplying this 3 times just the x value. So when I multiply times just the x, is that going to be a horizontal something or a vertical something? Horizontal. So I have a horizontal. Stretch or shrink? Shrink, because we're going to think backwards, right? 3 makes us want to say stretch, but since it's horizontal, we got to do the opposite. So this would be a shrink by a factor of, and then what do you do with that number? Flip it. So instead of this being 3 over 1, this is 1 over 3. All right, then I'm subtracting the 4. Now, am I doing that to just the x value, or am I doing that to my whole equation? Whole equation. So that means I'm going to go 4 units, which direction? Down. And I've got my 2 things. All right. So on your homework, you have something that looks like this. They don't give you this part, but I wanted to put this part on here and show you this part as well. So they just give you the graph. And I told you in the beginning, we don't really care what f is, right? We only care about the g part, which is what we're doing to f, correct? So if you look at this, you're going to take the f part and just ignore it. Like, I don't even care. Because they're telling you right here that I'm going to take a 4 and multiply it times just the x value. So what does that mean? Is that a horizontal something or a vertical something? Horizontal. That's correct. When I do something to just the x, that's horizontal. Okay, it's a 4, so is that going to be stretch or shrink? Shrink by a factor of, what are you going to do with that number? Flip it, right? Now remember, when it's vertical, we don't flip it. We just leave it. But we're going to flip it on this. Okay? So that's all we did there, correct? So if you look at number 12, we're not going to look at f, right? F was my original. G tells me what I'm doing to f. I'm multiplying 1/4 times my whole equation. So is that a horizontal something or a vertical something? Okay, so this would be vertical. Stretch or shrink? Shrink, because I'm going to go exactly what I think, right? Seems like a shrink, so I'm going to put a shrink. It's between 0 and 1, right? And then by a factor of what? By a factor of 1/4. We don't flip it, right? Keep it the same. So when you see those graphs and it says what happened from F to H, you don't really care about F because they're already telling you on H what you've done, right? So we don't want to overcomplicate that.